Right. So, good morning, everyone. First of all, was it morning? Just afternoon, maybe. First of all, thanks for Sarah. Thanks for sharing your story again. I know you mentioned you're really proud of that project. We at NDL are certainly very proud of it as well. Quite a complex project, but one that was delivered, as you say, in a pandemic. So yeah, we didn't really. It wasn't the most straightforward, should we say, was it? So from my point of view today, I'm just going to be running through quite a number of quick fire case studies, really, guys. It should work quite well because I know that the gentleman from Netcall kind of explained about RPA and the concept, explained it very well, and then Sarah kind of touched on her project. And what I'm going to be doing is navigating through a few slides and kind of explaining what other local authorities have done over the years using the NDL RPA tool. Right. Well, first of all, I wanted to start off with kind of highlighting some of the kind of key roles that we see in every organisation. And I know a lady kind of asked the question right at the start of today's event. This kind of concept around kind of losing jobs and RPA only really being kind of used to replace people. We need to really approach that quite delicately within everybody's organizations, as everybody would expect. But what we do have is we have a fantastic opportunity for the human workforce to try and relieve them of some of those duties, and have RPA and software robots kind of doing those admin tasks in the back. And your organizations, you will have some tasks, some projects where robots will be a fantastic option, but there will obviously be some tasks where humans need to kind of work with citizens or potentially patients in the NHS, have conversations, show empathy, and that's kind of not what RPA is for. But if you can have RPA kind of in the background, plugging away, doing those kind of sometimes mundane tasks, some process rules where rules are attached, you can give your human workforce much more time and scope to spend carrying out those human-centric tasks. And then in the middle, what we have is kind of it's where AI comes into its own, really. And I know, again, the gentleman from Netcall kind of spoke about it. We do have this fantastic opportunity aligning kind of cognitive services alongside RPA to really extend, really push forward these fantastic kind of projects. To give you an example kind of that, what we would refer to as intelligent automation using AI alongside RPA. To give you an example, we're working on quite an exciting project at the minute, taking information from PDF'd invoices. So these PDFs are arriving within the organization as practically images, basically. So we're not able to kind of capture or drag away any of that text. But what we are using is a cognitive service to recognize that text, turn what is essentially unstructured information into structured information, and then pass that on to a robot and carry out a further number of processes as well. And from our point, it's a really exciting opportunity, and we've seen the level of accuracy using kind of AI rather than standard OCR to be so much better. But yeah, I just wanted to stress, really, this is kind of a collaboration between humans and robots. I know Sarah explained kind of reducing admin time from I think 600 hours to 10 hours for that business support team. The big thing from that project is giving that business support team more time to carry out those human-centric tasks like they were. So with regards to RPA, and these kind of use cases do bleed into one another somewhat, really. RPA is an extremely powerful and flexible tool that can automate any task as long as there's some rules. Again, as a gentleman said earlier on today, as long as there's rules and there's logic, a robot can carry on and automate that process. And what we generally see is kind of see these key use cases in our local government and all the public sector customer sites as well. So just going down them briefly, we have migration. So a robot picking up, lifting and shifting of big packets of data from one system into another. We have synchronization. So that's, and again, I think we touched on this earlier, and that is making sure all the back office systems are kept up to date. So if something changes in system A, a robot can then cascade that changes into all the other back office systems. Integration, so kind of point-to-point integration, trying to eradicate the rekeying of information and using RPA to, and Sarah touched on the second project as well, didn't she? Having a robot plugging that gap from system A to system B to make sure you've not got kind of a person in the back doing it there. We have a concept of end-to-end transformation. What we mean by that is using other kind of digital tools such as mobile apps and e-forms, potentially in the front office, but then using RPA to get that information and place that information where it needs to be. So their integration from the front office to the back office is where we kind of see end-to-end transformation. But very much like that Swindon case study, a robot can automate any process as long as it has rules attached, whether it be systems within the council or external systems. So we have this term around process automation. So what I wanted to do is kind of highlight, and sorry Sarah, I didn't mean to take too much attention away from your Munchie bot, but it is quite a common theme within our customer base. A lot of our customers like to kind of personalize their robots, and Medway Council has been a customer since 2011. They've used their robots to take information from their website and populate back office. So a real key channel shift agenda and allowing citizens to kind of self-serve and have robots kind of automate that in the back end. But what they've done, they coined their robots Mickey Iron Man. Still not 100% where that came from, but I kind of like it, so wanted to mention it. The project, and I mentioned migration, that I wanted to speak to you about, and this is again the lifting and shifting of big packets of information. And the council Medway, they were introducing a new Revs and Bens document management system, and it had to be in place in a matter of weeks before their legacy system was basically turned off and then unsupported. And they had over 6 million documents that were stored in their old Revs and Bens system. Their first kind of route was to go and ask the organization that provided that old Revs and Bens system. They did quote for an API. Unfortunately, from a financial point of view, that just wasn't achievable. It was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds to get these documents from that old system. But when the head of Revs and Bens, a chap called Pat, kind of approached his IT team and spoke about what he wanted to do and the challenge that he was faced with, because they'd used our robots for all those different other projects, they suggested using the robots for this big scale migration. And that's what they did. So they had 60 robots plugging away, taking millions of documents from one system and then navigating and actually popping all those documents in a folder. The new Revs and Bens document management provider basically then could just do a bulk upload. So what the robots were doing, they weren't actually navigating through the new system, they were just going through that old system, picking out each record, each document, one after another, running actually on this instance through the night rather than through the day, because through the day they had a hell of a lot of people in the office using the system, and because we had so many robots driving this system, what we decided to do was get that running through the night, because it wouldn't then affect kind of any network or kind of the users, the human users using that system throughout the day. And using NDL's professional services team, so their IT team had actually used our tool lots and lots of for lots of other projects, but resource was an issue actually. And again, we touched on this early in the day. They were all off doing other projects, and this project had such a time scale attached. They were able to lean on our professional services team. So what we did, we created this migration, and over 6 weeks, we were able to put all those documents into a folder. Massive cost saving when compared to kind of that API cost, but they did actually calculate as well, if you had a person carrying this out rather than 60 robots, it would take them about 30 years to pull all those documents out, which obviously is not realistic or achievable. And again, like Sarah, Medway, they've won NDL awards, but also they've won an award which they were brought from an internal kind of award ceremony at the council as well. So a great migration project. So this is synchronization, and I dare say most people will be kind of familiar with the Tell Us Once scheme. You know, essentially, when you're reaching out to your council and you want to update one bit of information, that information then has to be kind of keyed or integrated throughout all those different systems, and make sure all those different systems are updated as well. They had 15 different systems where the Tell Us Once would impact, and it was specifically kind of very important with regards to kind of death notifications as well. And unfortunately, what they'd had seen examples of is people being reported deceased, but then widows still being contacted about things such as kind of allotment bills and things like that. So what they were able to do is they used SX again to make sure all these back office systems were kept up to date. As soon as a record is updated in one system, the robot can pick this up and then update that into various other systems as well. And then if the technology lets me, and I might be risking it, but I'd like to show you a quick video and you can hear what actually Norwich say about this project. So hopefully this will work. Please do let me know if people's network and sound and stuff doesn't work.
The Government Tell Us Once scheme is a service set up by central government to allow bereaved relatives of people who've recently passed away to notify government departments and agencies just once that event has happened, and for them to update their records and services accordingly. Central government then does the same thing with local authorities and health services, informs them once and trusts them to then get on and update their records.
What the problem we found was that not every service area was actually interacting with that particular customer. So, for example, we would send a notification of death through to our parking service, but our parking service wouldn't have anything in relation to a permit for that person in particular. Or our allotment service, that person didn't have an allotment. So there was an awful lot of information that actually the service couldn't do anything with, but they needed to process. So it was very time consuming and the data wasn't of good quality. So we were absolutely adamant we needed to find something that would streamline the information we gave, so it was up to date, appropriate, and got to the right people the first time around. So that's what we were looking for in the product.
We knew that we could best respond to this challenge of trying to automate some of these checks by using what we'd already had experience of, and that was the NDL Universal Integration Toolkit, specifically the AWISX product. We'd already had experience of navigating core systems with that for another set of integrations that we'd set up for contact information. We knew that that meant that having identified who a person was, we could talk to all of our systems and understand what records there were existing for them. Where an area may not respond as easily and promptly because of time and resource challenges, the checks take that role for them. So as soon as the notification of death arrives in the authority, the script kicks in and that picks up the checking for them. So they only receive a notification that they need to do something.
SX implementation was really important and quite groundbreaking for us as an organisation. It enabled us to pick up information at a sensitive point in somebody's life, capture it and deal with it in an appropriate manner. Initially, we were dealing with things within 2 or 3 days. We can now do it within hours. It's made quite a difference to the way our staff feel. They trust the information they're actually getting. It enables us to make sure that we pinpoint individual customers and get that information out quickly and cleanly. And I think from a point of view of when you're looking at our satisfaction rates as an organisation, they're extremely high. And that actually must be part of the way we handle information that comes through from our SX product.
From the outset, the start of the relationship began in 2010-11, and it's been really positive and collaborative with NDL. They're a friendly company to work with. The training that we had back in 2010-11 on the first use of the scripting software was fantastic. Got really positive feedback from the developers. The support that exists following up from that as well. So guidance from the developers actually on NDL's team, from the help desk, the forums that are set up, the whole user community, really, really positive. And we make the best use of those that we can. The customer relations advisors are fantastically responsive as well. We see them as frequently as we agree we need to. Very, very flexible in terms of whether we need to see them on site, whether it's just a phone call, just to catch up. They remain au fait with everything that we're doing. They know what we've done, they know what we're working on, and they have a really good handle on what we want to do as well going forward. I think any other organisation, be they a council or a private sector organisation, really should consider NDL a vital part of any toolkit they need for integration. Certainly to the levels that we've gone, we wouldn't have been able to do it without the NDL scripting tools to help us do that. We've got systems on different operating platforms, different servers, totally different applications, different ages, but we've been able to navigate and integrate data between them seamlessly with the AWISX product. It'll be a game changer for any organisation that starts using it.
So I hope the sound quality was okay, because I know a lot of the time when you share videos and things over Zoom, but that video's on our website. If the sound quality, or you can hear it very well, along with all those case studies that we've been speaking about today. I'm happy to kind of welcome questions as well throughout. So please just shout up if you have any. Just going to quickly kind of finish off just another couple of examples about how RPA has been used in local government. One council which we've worked with for a number of years is South Norfolk Council, and they've carried out quite a lot of integrations, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind me kind of mentioning they're not the biggest council, and they've used RPA to kind of do lots of smaller processes, but have all added up and they've still gained a massive return on investment, and it's still been massively worthwhile. The council themselves needed to reduce, a few years ago, needed to reduce lots of admin heavy based processes, trying to reduce lots of paper that was getting passed around from different teams to different services as well. And they kind of identified three key areas really where they would see RPA helping. One was connecting up plethora of back office systems and applications that were all kind of provided from different suppliers. The second one was, although they were pushing lots of citizens to their website so they could self-serve, what then generally was happening is an email would be triggered to somebody in that department, and a member of staff would then basically have to rekey that information into the back office. And also what they were really keen on is pushing all the calls actually to their contact center, and where their contact center were really struggling was trying to have lots and lots of different applications open at the same time, that were creating lots of different kind of user interfaces and things. Where they were really struggling is trying to navigate between applications while they were on the phone, rather than kind of focusing on having a conversation with that citizen. Okay. So they've deployed SX, which is our RPA tool, and this was kind of do lots of different kind of things really, as I mentioned, but also they've been able to kind of replace lots of APIs. But again, I do agree with the comment that somebody said earlier, an API may well be the tool for one integration or another, and if you've got an API that does what you want from it, why would you replace it? With South Norfolk, for instance, they found quite a APIs lacking in lots of different areas in some areas, but still do have APIs in lots of different areas as well. The council itself, they've estimated over saving of over £400,000 when they've looked into all these hundreds of thousands of transactions, how long each transaction would generally take if a person was doing it, and calculating quite conservatively, to be fair, that cash savings. And yeah, the big thing and the big driver around using RPA was try and reduce some of the burden on that contact center staff. What they've been able to do is present them with some quite simple e-forms, take away the need to navigate through lots of complex back office applications, give them an all-encompassing web form, and then have SX to then kind of do the lifting and the shifting from that web form into the back office. Much simpler approach for them. But what it also meant is, and this has been fed back by their IT teams, that that team are just happier, improved job satisfaction, rather than getting bogged down in kind of admin. They're able to spend more time on the phone with humans, with the citizens as well. Last one, and this is kind of what I was referring to as end-to-end transformation, or end-to-end automation. Moray Council, which is a council right at the tip of Scotland, had this solution for quite a number of years within their housing repairs department. And they had a need to view and collect information, but also needed then to kind of update multiple back office systems. What they have now with regards to housing repairs is a member of the community, a citizen, would rig in to the council by the contact centre. Somebody within that contact centre can basically create that job, for want of better terms, and schedule that in their housing system. From then on, the robot will basically pick up that information, navigate that into all the other key systems where it needs to be, such as your CRM and your stock control. And now in the front office, what we've created is a mobile app which can then display touch data where they're out in the community, carry out the job, click complete, and then that mobile app can pass the information again back to the robot, and the robot can then cascade that information into all the necessary applications as well. So it's a great example of kind of end-to-end automation, easier process. It saves time, it saves money, there's no rekeying of the information. The person actually out at somebody's house doesn't, even know about kind of the delicacies and how complex the back office will be. They're just presented with the right information, easily, simply, and quickly. So, I'm sure you'll agree that, automation, from all the presentations today, kind of does give you kind of lots of opportunities. AI and automation are great assets in anyone's transformation journey. But using the Swindon case study, the example again, that automation was triggered by, I think, Sarah, you said a Jadoo web form. So we have to collect that info before, we could do something with it. The Moray example is very similar. We were collecting that information by that mobile app. So at that point, what I wanted to kind of is introduce, if nobody's familiar with NDL and what we do, we have an NDL transformation suite. Using this suite, members of our community can make information easily available to the frontline services or citizens where and when it's needed. And using that SX part of it, it doesn't matter if that information is kind of what I would refer to as trapped within your existing back office. So what we have very quickly is a digital layer of low-code software tools, which will enable organizations to create apps or e-forms, create that around specific requirements, wrap it around those individual requirements really quickly and easily. Lots of examples in kind of health and care, more specifically around local government, anything from building control, environmental services, food hygiene, and lots more as well. The automation layer uses kind of the power of automating tasks for integration, so getting information to where it needs to be. Obviously, both of them working together, you can have that, what I refer to as that end-to-end automation. And the other part on SX, just briefly mentioned from an AI point of view, we make it very easy to call out to kind of AI tools, so cognitive services, and incorporate that into your automation, or that end-to-end automation as well. And it was quite, again, I don't want to refer to too much of the gentleman from Netcall, but you know, all those benefits of having a one provider and have multiple kind of solutions on that one provider, that we firmly believe in that as well. You've got that one organization to liaise with, whether it be the front office or the back office. The only difference is we kind of approached it the other way. For a long time, we've had our SX platform out there for decades, and then more recently we've introduced more mobile and front office as well. So very similar, just gone about it slightly differently. So just to summarize, you know, this presentation, it was quite quick fire examples. What I'm hoping to have done is kind of set you thinking about where, you know, potentially RPA or apps or e-forms could benefit your organization. You know, it's a fantastic opportunity. You know, please do think about capturing the information before automating as well. We provide you with that full digital transformation suite, but you don't have to have all the different components if you don't like as well. There's lots of different options. A little bit about what we do. We are a software company. We specialize. Well, we only work with the public sector. You know, that's where our experiences lay. You know, we understand lots of your back office delicacies over the years, and we have proven experience in lots of those different systems as well. And as you've probably seen today, you know, we've got a buoyant user community, people like Sarah that acts as great reference points for other organizations, happy to share works, and the same throughout all our customers. It's very, very similar. Any of the case studies you've seen on today, please do reach out to me or go on our website. Be happy to talk through any kind of questions now or at the end, either now or, you know, there's my contact details. And again, all those case studies are on our website, or reach out to me and I can provide them for you too.